All right, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. I am once again at Cary Imports to do a video on a vehicle that some of you have actually requested. Well, not quite, but close to it. You wanted to see an Audi A8, but I got the next best thing. Actually, it might even be better, actually. It's the Audi A7 2014, the Prestige model. So huge shout out to Cary Imports for providing us with this Audi A7 to check out, because this bad boy, I titled this video, I think, like 100K miles or whatever. It's got like 94,000. I mean, close enough. I just rounded up. So hopefully you can forgive me for that slight bit of clickbait, but no matter, it's definitely lived a life. And I've always been curious about a higher mileaged Audi, because I've driven the Benzes, the BMWs with around the same level of mileage, and I have to say, it's out of the German trio, I think BMW and Audi are like the two luxury cars that I would consider buying. So if you are, looking for a pre-owned Audi, you can definitely check out Cary Imports website. I'll leave all that stuff down in the description box below. So basically, out of the three, I think these Audis and stuff, I mean, this thing has held up so well. I mean, this thing has, with the miles that it has, I mean, this cabin is absolutely just rock solid in here. Absolutely just zero creaks and rattles thus far of me driving it, and there's just no real like strangeness with it. Like the steering doesn't feel loose and saggy or whatever. This is aged extremely well. And I guess we can kind of get into the looks here, because when this thing first came out, I think around 2010 actually, I absolutely loved the way that this thing looked. Actually, this is some groundbreaking stuff. Basically, this is kind of where, vehicles like the Stinger and like the 440i BMW, stuff like that, kind of stemmed from, these kind of like hatchback sedan things. So if you hate SUVs, this might be the vehicle to go to, because like the vehicles I mentioned, like the 4 Series and like the Stinger, they're a little bit smaller than this. This is like the largest kind of like sedan hatchback thing that's being made right now, and it's a rather expensive vehicle too. Like this is like around like 65K when it was new, with the option. So they definitely had a higher budget. Because they're charging more money, they can make a higher quality vehicle. So because of that, a lot of this body is made from aluminum. The vehicle itself is a little bit larger, so it's got a longer wheelbase. It's about 196 inches long, so puts it right in the middle of like the mid-sized luxury car segment. It is based off the Audi A6. I'll get to that a little bit later, but just definitely very effortless power, but it does kind of like top out, I guess. I'll get to the power and stuff in a bit, but I was just kind of talking about like, what it's kind of based off of. And because it's a rather large vehicle, there's a legitimate amount of space in the rear for me to sit in. About 5'11". Obviously the front space is obviously very accommodating, of course, in every car, but I have a lot of room in the rear, and there's so much room in the trunk, so that is phenomenal. It hops off the line, like absolutely just jumps off the line, but you do kind of feel that power kind of like dipping off later on. But dude, this car is just so refined. The vehicle does produce about 310 horsepower and 325 pounds-feet of torque from a supercharged 6-cylinder engine. It's kind of a rare thing to find a supercharged engine in this class, so that's kind of interesting. Really just isolates you from the speed. Audis are actually some of my most favorite vehicles actually to pilot, and now after like that 2010 era, they started to look absolutely amazing. Like this is such an excellent looking vehicle. Love it. Very sleek design that Audi kind of pioneered, right? The brakes do a nice job of kind of like isolating you. Like when you get more on the brakes, like it doesn't quite translate into the cabin, but you do have a pretty decent amount of confidence in the braking power. But that supercharged engine, when you're on it, you don't really hear the whine. Like it's just a very nice, smooth 6-cylinder engine. Just kind of what Audi's known for, is like their smoothness, basically. Once again, it's kind of like that BMW 7 Series. This is a vehicle I was kind of lusting for when it first came out, but now it's like, any one of us watching this video can kind of afford to buy this thing now. It handles extremely flat, and of course it's got the Audi what's it called, like that quattro system, so it's got the all-wheel drive. I was mentioning this body a little bit, so this thing feels extremely planted. This is, I'll just say this right off the bat, it's like way more planted and solid feeling than a Stinger, of course. Because again, it's a more expensive vehicle. You know, they had the platform, they had the budget. It's got like about 20% aluminum use in the body, so that really helped. It's got a proper suspension setup, of course, you know, multi-link front and rear. Handles the bumps beautifully. I mean, this thing, it's got some 20-inch wheels, so it's running on some dubs, so it's skating by, but it does such a great job of being just a very comfortable cruiser car that isolates you from the speed. Not like that Porsche Cayenne. That was a little too much. You know, you had to be doing 100 miles an hour to feel anything in that car, but in this, it's such a baller pimp machine that just wafts you down the road. I am just very impressed with this thing. It has that similar sort of quality that the BMW 750 I drove had. It has like that big body characteristic. However, the Audis just, they're a little bit softer, and I kind of appreciate that actually. But I'm loving the plushness of it. I mean, most cars with 20-inch wheels just do not ride this well. I mean, most cars in this segment even kind of have like 19-inch wheels. But the Germans, you know, I guess they're the only ones that offer these huge wheels on option at least. And it's doing extremely well. I love the steering feel from it. I mean, I guess some people would say that this is a numb steering. I guess so, but like, I just really like it. I find a lot of pleasure piloting this car. It's just a very graceful experience, and just the fact that you have all this space in here, in the interior, like for me to sit in, all that space in the trunk, and it's got a legitimate spare back there, which is kind of rare for a German car to offer. But granted, this car is like, I guess, 6 years old now, so they kind of offered this stuff back then. And about to go over some railroad bumps here. Man, this guy's really braking for these bumps, but don't even feel it at all. You know, Audis just drive a little bit different from just about every car. I mean, every manufacturer has their own feel, I guess. And Audi definitely has that. It's very hard for me to explain to you. I mean, there's just no way I can say, oh, this is better than a BMW, or like a Mercedes is better than this. Like, it's very difficult for somebody to say that. Like, a lot of people want to, oh, which one's the best out of three? There's no best. There's no best anything. You can appreciate all of these vehicles for what they are. And this guy is just neutering this driving experience for me. I think the number one thing, though, is you'd be very shocked at how well this thing can bend a corner. I think that's kind of the biggest highlight for me with this like light kind of steering. It doesn't feel mushy at all. It's a very rewarding steering rack, but it's just like, I guess this car wouldn't quite inspire that level of confidence at first impressions, I guess. So you should be very impressed with that for sure. Another thing that you're going to be impressed with, I said this vehicle rides very well. Well, dude, the opulence of this cabin is absolutely extraordinary. I love how well done it is. At the beginning, I kind of mentioned just how solid this thing feels. Yeah, that's very true. Nothing is really creaking and rattling in here, even when you go over some bumps. If you hear something, it's usually just my camera equipment. The vehicle itself is extremely well executed, and slight bit of hesitation, I guess, from that 8-speed auto, but no worries. But yeah, like I was saying, the seats are so damn comfortable. I love the seats in this thing. You can definitely do long journeys in this. I have kind of a sensitive tush, so that's a huge praise coming from me regarding the seats. I love just Audi's steering wheels. It's got like this thin rim thing going up. It's got this little bulge. I just love the shape. I love holding on to this thing. It's of that era where it's got kind of got that screen where it kind of like retracts, I guess. It's got like a matte finish wood grain. There is no like piano like black plastic stuff in here, so that's phenomenal. Everything's aged really well in here. Like, there's no wrinkles really on the seats. Just an excellent leather quality. There's a bit of wear right here where like the window switches are. All the windows are one touch up and down, so that's really great. All the climate control stuff is actually separated from the screen, so I love that. If your screen goes bad, your HVAC does not, so that's great. The screen, though, I did use it. It's not a touch screen or anything like that, but you have like these little knobs here that you can use. The volume knob and this in general knob, I guess. There's a slight bit of hesitation when you use this screen, but for the most part, it actually works really well. Like, the Audi kind of infotainment has always been very, very impressive, so that's good. Got this nice gauge cluster here, which kind of looks like today's kind of Kia Hyundai gauge cluster, to be honest, with the helper screen in the middle. So I kind of, when you like go back in time to some of these German cars, you kind of see where Hyundai Kia got their inspirations from. A lot of it is like Audi, Porsche inspired, but anyway, everything works, everything's legible. Everything in the vehicle has just like a nice kind of weight to it, I guess. You know, it feels like a quality automobile. It feels like a vehicle that's feeling of its price tag, of its prestige and brand name, I guess. So I really love those aspects of this vehicle. You know, piloting this vehicle, you know, it doesn't feel like a gargantuan beast on the road. I mean, it's like a very simple car to pilot, which I really love. The controls will take some getting used to, but there's a bunch of hard touch buttons in here, which is always a great thing. Got a traditional shifter. You know, the space inside this interior, like cubby spaces, slightly limited in terms of, you know, that stuff, but, you know, not too bad. The glove box is all right as well, kind of average, but I do like to spend time in here. You know, it's a quiet space. The audio system is excellent. It doesn't have the Bang & Olufsen. It's got the Bose system, but it sounds really excellent as well. Electric seats, of course, in this vehicle, heated and cooled seats. Just a very pleasant drive, and I'm very grateful I was able to drive this like kind of higher mileage one to see how it kind of aged, and it drives like a brand new vehicle actually. Great little all-weather vehicle with the all-wheel drive system, so that's something that Audi's like very much well known for. So it can be like that nice prestige. It can be like that sort of one car that you own that kind of does everything. It's like very satisfying. It's not really branded as like this sports sedan, but trust me, when you drive this thing, there's a certain level of satisfaction to it that only Audi can really provide. That it doesn't really drive like a BMW or a Mercedes. I would kind of say it falls in between that, but it's positioned very uniquely in the segment, so I appreciate it. So hope you found value with this review. If you are interested in this vehicle, you can definitely check them out. It's at Cary Imports. I would highly suggest you take advantage of their warranty as well. It's like dirt cheap. It's like a little over $2,000, so it's like nothing for a German car. So if you want to buy it, well, there you go. Thank you very much for watching this review. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.